91.7 and YouTube, WAPN 91.5 FM, and of course, Facebook. And I am super excited because I have somebody that's been in here a long time, and his dad was in here a long time. So introduce yourself, and what do you do for a living?
My name is Eddie Herrera, and I was the former host here at Faith, Family, and Finance radio show, and I am a co-owner of Alliance Financial Partners, which is a fully functioning wealth management financial planning firm in Palm Coast. And this year, I know WAPN turns 40, but my firm, Alliance Financial Partners, turns 15 years in April.
Isn't that neat?
So,
I mean, all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I remember when you started. So, I remember that too. I know. I remember when you were building your house. I remember when you got married. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How old is your daughter now? Because I saw there is an old video of you out there that I saw with your daughter on it. And so how old is she now?
She's 25.
There's no way.
Yeah, she's 25.
But we're 29.
We have reverse math. I don't know how that works.
We have girl math on steroids.
Girl math, that's funny.
Well, there is such thing. As a financial guy, you should know that.
I absolutely. I talk to clients all the time, and I tell them girl math doesn't work, but if it makes you feel better, that's great.
Okay, but what about the boy math?
Boy math's just as dumb.
Okay, because you know there is boy math, and you know what that claims?
100%.
A sports car, new boat.
Yeah, needs or wants.
Yeah,
very different.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
So I know the story of how your dad started here. I don't know if you know the story or how long your dad's been here before you. Do you remember?
I don't know. All I remember growing up was that, and this is probably more. I know he used to do a show on Saturday mornings, and this was like cassettes. Like that's,
yeah, I know.
That's
I had to teach him when we changed from mini disc and then CDs.
Yeah,
I was his learning curve. Every time I walked over, I lived across the street, and me and Yvonne would walk over here like every week because it was a learning curve.
Yeah.
It was totally a learning curve.
Yeah.
But he was our first Spanish person.
Spanish, okay.
Okay, and so it was really neat because people were like to my dad, "What are you doing? Putting Spanish on the air?"
Right.
And my dad's like, "Well, I want to reach all people."
Right.
In all languages, you know, and so it was really neat. And then, like I said, I lived across the street and I would come over to teach him. And your dad was a soccer dude.
Yep.
And my daughter, Yvonne, was in soccer.
Yep.
And so, lo and behold, he'd bring a ball with him, of course, and they would be in that front room.
Gosh.
I know.
That's my
kicking
dad.
a soccer ball.
Sure.
Instead of going out in the parking lot,
Yep.
we did it right in the middle of the station because, hey, you can.
There was carpet.
Back in the day, you know.
It's close to grass.
But it was cute because we had so many good times together, your dad and I. And then your mom's been very instrumental in my life. I don't know if you know that, but your mom, over the last few years, has been very instrumental with me. So it's just neat. And then you called me one day, and we got on the air, and I learned so much from you.
Well, thank you.
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know how to do an interview. When my mom died, I was thrown into it. And I remember listening to my mom and all that, but all of a sudden you're thrown into it, and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I would listen to you and watch you when you were here, and I learned how to be personable and how to not ask just the question on the sheet of the paper, but add, person into it.
Right.
Add real into it.
Sure.
And I miss that because you were really, really good at that. I mean,
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when you were on the air. What did you think about being on the air? And what were some of the things that you liked about being on WAPN?
Well, my dad, back to the story as far as when I know he used to come on Saturday mornings, and then, I graduated college, and then I came back into the family business, and of course,
back to the family.
yeah, and of course, I have a 4-year degree from UCF, and I know everything. So I started, part of it was my marketing degree, and I was like, Dad, why are you doing radio? Like, there's more things for you to do, and Saturdays, and my dad was like, son, you don't even get it, and I didn't. Right. I really didn't get it. And
do you get it now?
I would totally get it now. Absolutely, totally get
what
it
do
now.
you get?
Yeah.
What do you get?
I get that, number one, the media, any kind of media that reaches the kingdom is worth doing. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's in person or it's a podcast or it's live radio. If it gets the word out, that's really the most important thing, is to carry the message, right?
Yep.
But my dad, after he passed away, obviously, obviously in 2008, and then I was married, working in the business, and then I realized that what my dad did, and people had asked me, like, your dad was so instrumental in my life and this and that. And I'm like, what I need to be the standard bearer for my father. And what can I do? And then that's when I reached out to you. I'm like, this is not my comfort zone.
I would have never guessed that.
It's funny because like the only time I'm really good at a microphone is with 2 glasses of wine and at an event. Like that was my wheelhouse. I could do it. Now I'm like, there's no wine here,
right?
Well,
we have like the communion cups with a little juice in it. Well, we got 22 of those.
yeah, we're having communion this morning, right? every Wednesday. But like really, it was one of those things that once, you and I connected, and I was nervous. I started out with David and I, my business partner. We both started doing the show, and then we got kind of busy, and then he stepped away and I continued it. But really, like what I've learned was that as far as, I would have a script of the questions I wanted to ask, and I would probably say at best I would get 40% of them, because
I don't even think you got that.
Yeah, probably
when
not.
I would watch you. It was cute.
And we would talk about things, and it was just neat how with my different guests that came in, how the Holy Spirit would kind of take over, and he would say to me, you know what, Eddie, I know you have these questions, but you know what, throw it away, because I have a message that I want to get out.
That's what I learned from you.
And this is where we're going today, and just trust the process. And that was really, and then it was something that I enjoyed so much, and I looked forward to coming here every week. And then, and as regulations in my industry go, and our broker dealer wanted a lot more involved with. They wanted to pre-record everything, and they wanted an agenda, and they wanted all this stuff. And I get the regulation part of it because of what I do.
Right, but that wasn't a God part of it.
Right, and that's where it took the kind of the joy from me away. But for the season that I was here, I'm confident that I reached people, and I even have people sometimes like, what happened to your radio show? And part of it's a little disappointing that I had to stop, but at the same time, I'm so thrilled that at WAPN carried the torch, and it's continuing to go, and you're evolving, you're improving, and the message is still clear. And I know your mom and dad would be absolutely so proud of what you've done, Shelley.
Thank you.
I mean that.
Like I tell everybody, I have changed a lot of things around here, from the carpet
right.
to the equipment to the social media. But one thing that stayed the whole 40 years is to win a soul to Christ and to pray for people.
Absolutely.
And change happened to me over COVID. Things happened.
Oh, yeah.
We had so many changes around here and so many rules, and churches couldn't be open and all that. And I did the crazy things. We did drive-in churches, basically. They would have their church, come to church and be in their cars, and they would tune to 91.5 FM, and I would be here, and they would simulcast live services through here with technology. And of course, they didn't have to go to church and sit in their cars, but that was kind of like their thing they did.
Right.
So it was like a drive-in movie thing.
Sure.
And then, we gave away food, and we did different crazy things during that time. But what that time did for me personally is I realized we need to be a beacon. We need to be in the community. We need to do, if it's a box of food that changes somebody's life, or a song, or whatever. We were just talking about Forrest Frank a few minutes ago.
Right.
What an outlet right now, and Jelly Roll. Hello.
Yeah.
Is that too cool or what?
Absolutely.
I know. And I went and saw Brandon Lake, and I had like third row seats. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing, and I wanted a certain song played. I'll never forget that. I thought, I'm coming to hear that song, talking to Jesus, right? And they played Miracles, and they had these little pieces of paper around the entire stadium with miracles on it.
No way.
And I see that all the time. I see that like whenever God's doing something for me to do. And I think, I could have missed that because I had an agenda. I wanted something that night that I went there to get, and I didn't get that. I got something better. Because when God shows up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When God
100%.
shows up and says to do something, might not be ordinary. Like with your dad, it wasn't ordinary to put Spanish in the middle of an English-speaking station. 2-hour block.
Right.
What in the heck are you doing, Mr. Lund? But think about it now. 35% of our community is Spanish-speaking. We still have Spanish today.
That was the seed.
I know.
Yeah.
But it took somebody bold enough to do it. You coming on here and doing what God told you to do taught me how to do interviews. I was watching you and learning, and I never thought I was going to use it. And then for the FCC rules, I have to do so many community things per quarter.
Right.
So I have to interview people. What would I have done if I didn't know what I was doing? You know what I'm saying? If I wouldn't have paid attention. But see, God was using that when I didn't even know he was using it.
Yeah. I've heard my pastor say that, God doesn't call the equipped. He equips the called.
Right.
And that's back to the obedience part.
Right.
And I shared with you earlier when we were texting Shelley that, my wife and I were on the way to the doctor. Ted was driving her to the doctor appointment this morning. And my wife, she's like, out of the blue, she's like, do you miss the radio? And I'm like, I do, Delilah. I do miss the radio, and it was such a great. It was like I just started sharing things about my dad, and then I'm sitting in the waiting room, and I get a text from Shelley. Hey, we're 40 years old, and I'd love to come in. And I'm like, she's like, what do you, send me some dates. I'm like, what are you doing at 2:00? I'm like, send it over. So and here I am. So a conversation this morning. Now I'm sitting in your studio.
And that made me cry, and I'm getting teary-eyed now because I was struggling on doing this. It's a lot for memories. People don't realize it is hard on me to bring up all that because both my parents are gone and I'm carrying on the legacy.
Right.
And I'm thankful. It's not a bad, it's a lot. And so I've been struggling, trying to kick it off. And my daughter was in Japan for a month, and she just got back and then they just moved here from Ohio. And she says, Mom, I'm coming Thursday morning and we're getting serious.
Love that.
I know. I love it when your child tells you, right?
Yep,
and you let them, So she came in this morning, and literally this morning we're doing the letter, we're doing the thing to go get printed, and she goes, make your list right now. And I go, okay. And we were talking about, you're on my list, and she goes, now, Mom, this is what you've got to do. And I was like, oh God, I hate it when I have to do something. No, I started to be like, well, I'm old. You start.
Excuses they're called.
And she goes, no. She goes, you're going to meet everybody where they're at.
Yeah.
So she goes, Mom, if you need to come in and stay in or come in later or whatever you got to do, you got to go to churches, bring your tripod. We're going to do this. She goes, because you have been in this community for 40 years. And the community needs to know you started from humble beginnings.
That's right.
And you're still here. And, that alone should be an encouragement to somebody.
Right.
Because there's people out there that are making it week to week.
Yep.
They don't know how they're going to make it. I don't know if you knew this, but a couple months ago, we gave 500 pairs of tennis shoes away in our parking lot for no reason.
Wow.
Yvonne and I just decided one April day, we collected tennis shoes. People dropped off tennis shoes. We did it for 6 weeks ahead of time. We gave away 500 pairs to whosoever came. Wow. You didn't have to have an agenda. You didn't have to qualify. You didn't give me an ID. You gave me your foot and we tried it on you.
That's awesome.
Literally.
Right.
And I want to always do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be boxed in, and so it was so neat that today that happened with you because I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't think you'd come.
Why?
Because your schedule. Because you're so busy. And you don't live right here. And so, I just thought he's too busy, and then when you were like, we're back and forth and I'm like, I told Yvonne, I said, I'm coming back to work today at 2. And I have an event in a little bit and I didn't care because you were that important to me to thank you for being in my life. And thank you for even, I'll say it out loud, you did an investment with me years ago. And you don't know this information, but I cashed in the investment 2 years ago because I needed major dental work done. And we just didn't have the extra money.
Yeah, Tim was going through the whole thing, right.
And we could have taken a loan out, but then you pay interest and all this. So we made a big girl decision and cashed it in. It was within dollars of the amount of dental work I was having done.
Wow.
Within dollars. We paid it off right there on the spot.
That's awesome.
And that was something that I did. It wasn't hard. It wasn't uncomfortable. It wasn't nothing. You know what I'm saying? It was an amount that you said, if you did this, Shelley, it would make a difference. And I'm looking at you like, okay, whatever, And I kind of forgot about it, to tell you the truth, because of life with my husband and all that.
Sure.
And then this came about, and I had no choice. I was going to have to get all that work done. And Tim took out, the loan right there on the spot.
Yep.
And then we got in the car, and God reminded me. And I should invest in myself.
Yeah.
And I won't be paying interest.
That's right.
And I did it.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And,
oh, gosh.
that was back when you first started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just think of that. So, I don't know why you meet people in your life. I don't know why God puts you in your life, but you just got all my dental work done because of what you taught me.
That's God. God likes good teeth, too.
But isn't that funny, though? But you don't know. And the reason why I use that example, because it's the truth, and I wanted people to understand, you never know what the reason is.
Yeah.
You know,
It's interesting, Shelley, because I used to Dave and I used to teach a class. It was a spinoff of Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. What we did is we condensed it down to about 6 weeks instead of at that time it was 11, and we called it we just called it financial peace. And we called it faith and finance. So we were doing that at churches.
Okay.
And we did it for like probably 5 years, and then we just kind of got busy, and then we just evolved to other things. But I got a text 2 weeks ago from somebody who took my class, our class that we taught in 2013, and they just text me out of the blue. And they're like, Eddie, I just wanted you to know that my husband and I paid off our mortgage, and we're so grateful for what you and Dave taught us.
Oh, I would love for you to do that on the air.
I
would love for you to do that class on the air.
No, it was amazing. I just was like, oh my gosh. And so, here we are in 2025, and that was 12 years ago. And they still remembered, and they did what we taught them, and now they're debt free. And that just made my day.
Eddie, think about doing that class on the air. My gosh, could you? No, really, could you imagine with Facebook and YouTube, and you could do it?
Oh man, I'd have to think about that. And the reason why, because the regulatory part of it.
Couldn't you just do it without the regulatory part of it, though, as a Christian giving helpful hints?
No, because I'm licensed, and
because if you
my securities licenses, yes.
Oh, see, I didn't
as
know
a
that.
fiduciary, yeah, that I'm very much, because I have various licenses that allow me to do what I do. Unfortunately, there's a lot of regulations around things we can say, because they can be taken out of context, they can be implied for guarantee.
Oh, I know.
All
Believe
that
me.
stuff,
Believe me, I understand that one. But oh my gosh, that would be so cool, because, I listen to Dave Ramsey. I try to do his different principles.
Yep.
I do some really well,
yeah,
and some I don't.
Okay, that's okay.
But I do try.
There you go.
But the thing is, I think that there's nobody on our station that talks about really money.
Yeah.
And we got to have money.
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes money to do everything.
And God talks about money many times in the Bible,
right?
And we've talked about that. But it's one of those things that, like, I love what I do, and I'm gonna kind of revert back a little bit, because this was something about you. You talk about you being convicted, and your parents did the show, did the station, and then this wasn't something that you thought you could do. And here you are, clearly flourished. You've taken this station to the next level. So, this year, being 15 years old in my practice, and God really has been pressing me. He's like, Eddie, talking about legacy. He's like, your father left a legacy in the community. He was a professional soccer player. He started soccer in Flagler County. He brought from South America to Flagler County, brought soccer here. Mm-hmm. And that was my dad's legacy. And the Holy Spirit's kind of asking me, like, what's your legacy, Eddie? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I started kind of talking out loud. I'm like, I don't want to be known as, well, Eddie was a nice guy. He was funny. He was a good financial advisor. He was a good drummer at worship. That's not how I want to be known. I want to be known for something that's going to last when I graduate and go see Jesus. And yeah, I'm going to be in timeout for a while, but I'm going to see Jesus. I know where I'm going. And so God's like, you need something bigger. You need something. And one of these things that I've always has been like kind of my life motto is do something so big it would fail without God.
Mm-hmm. That's where I'm at. It's exactly where I'm at, because it's been a challenge.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that came against me. Mm-hmm. And like today lit a fire under me when Yvonne said, Mom, you're just going to do this.
That's right.
And I was like, what are you going to say?
No, right.
Right. And like everybody's saying, well, what are you doing for your 40th? What are you doing for your 40th? Mm-hmm. Well, that sounds great, but it costs money to do it.
Yeah.
So we're doing a barbecue in the parking lot for whosoever.
Right.
At first I thought it was supposed to be like only pastors and blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, Mom, whosoever. And I was like, you're right. I mean, it's the listener.
Yeah.
It's the person that we pray for. Mm-hmm. It's the person that listened to that song and called me up and said, what was that song? I need that song.
Right.
No, I have that, you know? And I'm like,
right.
We need it for whosoever.
That's right.
So we're barbecuing in the front yard, and we wanted to do it here because we strategically figured it out on a Saturday. When we're doing it, there's nobody on the air. So we can tour the radio station. I can throw people live on the air and make it a party.
That's right. That's right.
And so it's funny, though. As soon as I let down my walls and said, all right, the time, I didn't even look at the time when she said the time.
Right.
And then an hour later, I went, oh, there's nothing on the air during that time. And she didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. And then the next thing happened, and I wanted this one barbecue dude to come here and barbecue so it would smell like barbecue, right? Well, that was almost 4 times what we're paying to have Four Rivers. And I'm a Four Rivers kind of girl. So I'm like, okay. And so you start, but why do we try to control God? And we all do it.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
So I don't know if my legacy is WAPN. I don't know. I'll be honest. I used to want my legacy that we're talking about, legacy, to be a great mom.
Yeah.
An awesome wife.
Well, you are that.
And I appreciate that. But that's what I thought I wanted.
Yeah. God's like, no, I have more for you, Shelley.
Right.
I have more for you.
Right. And then I don't want to be, oh, her parents died and she runs WAPN.
Yeah.
Because
right.
you know how that feeling is.
100%. Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, I've been here 40 years. Because when I wasn't here and I was working at Kennedy Space Center, I was the weekend warrior for 4 years until I came here.
Yeah.
Permanently. But I don't want to be known for that. And I'm thinking, well, what? And I think that the more I think about it today, because I've been thinking all day, maybe it's that I'm the crazy one for God. No, you know what I'm saying? The crazy one for God.
Okay, for God, yeah.
That
sure.
If the world's got it, why can't us Christians have it? Why can't my pastors have a studio that does all this? Why can't my pastors have this? And I don't care if you have one person in your church or 5,000. I want to treat you the same.
That's right. That's right.
So I don't know. Is that my legacy? I don't know.
Well, so kind of where I was going was that, when I started asking myself, I didn't know what my real legacy was. What God really put in my heart, he's like, okay, Eddie, I need you to be obedient and I need you to trust me. He said, because I'm gonna do something that's so big that's gonna fail without me, and you have to trust this process, right? So he says, Eddie, number one, I want you to create a foundation. And I mentioned it to Dave, my business partner, and we're in the process right now. We got the name registered. It's going to be called Alliance Financial Community Foundation. We don't really know what we're going to do yet. There's some things we're tossing around, but what I do know is that this foundation is going to be something that is going to far supersede me and my business partner, Dave, because it's going to be very kingdom-centric, and we want to be able to bless people financially with, the theme that keeps coming in my heart is the least of these. And we want to be, and I've shared it with some close people to me, and every person that I've shared it with is like, Eddie, I'm on board. Like, we want to help. And this is the real legacy. We sometimes we confuse our profession with our identity, and we're not. We are children of the Most High God. We are servants. We are crusaders. We are disciples. But how does society? We're a financial planner. We're we're the owner of a radio station. That's how we're labeled. But that's not. God doesn't see that. God says, how am I going to use my disciple to advance the kingdom? Because there's a message. There is something so much bigger than us, and God's going to call. He's going to call the people that are ready to be obedient, and He's going to equip us with the skills and with the money, with the talent.
So will you be a nonprofit then? As
100%, 501c3.
Well, then you can come and talk about stuff.
We are going to be we just got the name registered, Alliance Financial
so
Community.
Then you can come and talk about it all you want, because as far as that goes.
Yep, it is going to be a 501c3, and it's something that we're like I said, we're still working out the details, even with our wives, because we know that they're going to be a big part of this. We don't have all those details yet, but we're just taking a step in obedience to create a foundation which is going to be a true legacy for us, and it's going to benefit our community. So we're just
you don't
excited.
know this about me though, but 4 years ago I started doing all nonprofits. I give away airtime to nonprofits and interview nonprofits, and I'm with Volusia County Women That Care. Matter of fact, I'm going there in a couple hours, and we give away every quarter over $30,000 to nonprofits.
Wow.
From women and a few men giving $100 a quarter.
Wow.
And we draw their names out of a bucket, get it to hear a 10-minute story about their nonprofit, we vote, and then we show up with a check about $30,000.
That's crazy. God will.
But because that's a group of people,
Yeah.
all these nonprofits out there.
Right.
Churches are amazing and they're wonderful, but they can't be all your source for every need.
That's right.
And I'm not being rude.
No,
when
no,
I
no.
say that.
That-
Okay. You
yeah,
get that,
100%.
right?
I'm not going to get into detail, but that is one of the reasons that we want to do this, is because sometimes there's so much red tape when it comes to the religious and the churches
Mm-hmm.
and all the boards and the elders. And we're like, we want to strip all that away.
Yep.
When we see a need,
That's what I'm doing.
we see a need. We want to be like, come here. We're going to bless you. We're going to pay your first month's, your
Yep.
last month's security.
Yep.
We're going to fix your car. We're
Yep.
going to, whatever it is that God, that opportunity, we want to be able to bless people.
See, and that's what I've been doing for 4 years. I've been bridging the gap, because what happened
Yeah.
is I realized during COVID that, well, the churches were shut down. So who's going to get the food?
Right.
How are they going to do the food drives? How are they going? So people started calling me and saying, "Can we use your airwaves? We're going to bring you a semi of food. Can you get rid of it?" I go, "Yeah."
Yeah.
They go, "How are you going to do that?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm going to do it."
Going to do it, right?
I moved all the furniture out of that front room, and they would drive up, and veterans would bring it in and unload boxes of all this food, right? I would get on the air, and I didn't have Facebook and all those things. I'd get on the air, and people would pull up and walk in and take boxes of food, just boxes. I'd call again, "I'm out of food." I did this, and I thought, no, I'm just this little radio station in Holly Hill, and I can do that. So then God said, "Okay, I want you to join 3 women's groups." So now I'm in all these women's groups, and they want me to join all the boards, and I'm like, no, I don't want to be on a board. I don't want to. I want to be the hands and feet.
There you go.
I want to be the airwaves. So tonight, when we pick those people to win that big check, and the 2 people that don't get picked, they'll all be in here next week getting free interviews.
That is awesome.
And what that free interview does, gets the word out around the world about that free ID, that we can help you get an ID, or that veterans home, or that pregnancy center that I didn't even know about. And I found out about, and then I went to the check presentation, and we had a baby shower for it, and it was the coolest thing ever. But I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because the church only has so many resources, and they're kind of in their own clique, and I'm not being
Yeah.
negative when I say that. But there's a world out there of amazing 501c3s
Yep.
that we need to get the word out.
Absolutely.
And guess what? This
Yeah.
girl has the airwaves.
That's right. Well,
and
I love
she's
that.
giving them.
Yeah. And so the second part of it was this year, because being 15 years old, we said, we want to do something that truly blesses a community. And we donate to a lot of different organizations monetarily. But I said, you know what, Dave, I said, I wanted actually a day where we go out into the community, not just write a check, but we actually go out. So in June 13th of this year, our inaugural, what is called the Alliance Day of Giving. And our entire team, and we had some clients volunteer with us. We went to the Grace Community Food Pantry, and we packaged all the food that they're giving away on the weekends. We went to Alpha Women's Center, and we bought a bunch of stuff. We got their wish list for pregnancy items, wipes, diapers, the whole thing. And we showed up. We went to Walmart, brought tons of boxes and donated to them. And we went to, there's a company a not-profit called Veterans Coffee Social. And they selected 2 veterans. So we didn't have time to physically do the work, but I actually hired my landscaper, and we went out and did a complete exterior renovation on their home with their landscaping, trimmed the bushes.
That's huge.
Yeah, we did all that. And then the last stop was we went to the Humane Society, and we asked them, like, what do you need? They're like, we need napkins, we need this stuff. So we went to BJ's and got a bunch of stuff, and we went and delivered a bunch of stuff. So like we helped 4 nonprofits in one day.
Well, when you're doing stuff now with this nonprofit, I better be your first phone call.
Okay.
Because
Well, now then-
I'm serious. I'm in the community. I go to the food drives at 100 degrees weather. I'm slinging food.
Oh, yeah.
You know why?
Okay.
Because I don't want to be sitting here talking about it
Right.
and not doing it.
Well, you said the hands and feet.
Tonight, I'm at a women's thing. When Junior League has a diaper bank. Well, I joined Junior League, and Yvonne, me, and Crystal, 20,000 diapers we gave them.
Oh, my
First
gosh.
year we did 10,000, and we were videotaping, and Crystal says, we're doing 20 this year. I thought we were doing 12, right? She goes, 20. And well, once it's out there, you got to finish it, right?
That's right.
We collected 20,000 diapers
That's
and brought to
incredible.
them.
That's
So
fantastic.
I'm that wild girl, because you can't sit here and talk about it
Yep.
and not participate. Now, I can't go to every single
Of
thing,
course not.
Of course.
No, right.
But that's my heart, what you're doing. It's totally my heart.
Yep.
And so I definitely want to be part of that. with airwaves.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
That's
and
wonderful.
right there, hey,
Yep.
you got airtime.
Absolutely. So there's no coincidences with God.
No,
you know what
today
I'm saying?
was, I did not know any of that about
I know
you.
this is a reunion. This was meant to be. Obviously, just between my wife asking me about the radio show, and here I am several hours later talking to you, and you're pouring out into the community, and so are we, and our parents are proud.
And we're going to use the airwaves to do
100%.
more.
Absolutely.
I'm so excited. Thank you
too.
so much for coming in. So can you say your name and a phone number if somebody wants to call you and find out how they can, be with you or be part of your nonprofit or anything? Can you give us all that?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Eddie Herrera, and my website is www.myallianceteam.com. I'm co-owner of Alliance Financial Partners. Our office number is 386-445-4257. And I'd just like to thank Shelley again for the privilege to be here after so many years. This reunion has been fabulous, and
he's going to be back on the radio.
I'm definitely coming back.
Because now that he can use the nonprofit and be part of it.
That's right.
I knew I was going to figure out a way to get you back.
Hey, there's loopholes and everything. So
that is it.
This is it.
This is it. So I'm looking forward to what we're going to do together next.
This is awesome.
Thank